But you know what? The hard part is, since situationally things build in the course of the game. The cool part about Tulo is you can have a scouting report. You can know the pitcher. You can know all those things beforehand, which will give you a clue on where the ball's hit. And then things happen in the course of the game. You know, tendencies, managers' decisions, whether someone's hitting or not hitting, how they swung at a pitch, whether they picked the pitcher up or not. All those other factors, he adds his data in. And then that's the part that you can't always tell. So, I mean, the fascinating conversations are when you had later and you say, okay, tell me about what you were thinking there. And then for him to bring back the context, you know, so then you really know how deep he does think about those things. But it does show in his play. And, you know, normally he's in the right place all the time. And so, you know, it doesn't seem so obvious in some cases. It seems easy. But there's a lot of thinking that goes in there. But to me, I'm amazed with you know, some of the context and some of the changes in midstream that a game forces you to go through. And that's the part that by talking to Tulo, you really know that he's into it. You know, in many ways, there's a couple of factors that help you as a bigger guy. You're insulated a little bit more from injuries around second base. There is a risk of coming into you, you know, more so than somebody else. So I think sometimes your size and the way that the runner, you know, has a risk to try to take you out of the double play. And depending upon your style as shortstop, shortstop's not a diving position, because if you have to dive, you got to knock a ball down with a guy on second base. There are reasons when you would dive, but generally speaking, you're not going to dive, you know, far in the hole unless you're Ozzie Smith or maybe you get Ozzie Guillen, where he could pop up and get to his feet really quickly and throw a guy out. So generally, you're setting your footwork beforehand. So in some ways, it plays better. I thought the third base position, you know, was almost, you felt like you were hitting the ground all the time at third base. Yeah, and so shortstop, and then you were blocking balls and getting balls off the wrist and hands. Shortstop, you got a chance to use your intelligence, your positioning, your read of the ball, your positioning of your footwork first. So I think in some ways, it's a little bit less. I know the wear and tear, because you're in every play, and the wear and tear that when people come at you at second base, there is some contact and wear and tear, but I found that shortstop was a little easier, you know, for me to deal with than third base. And so I guess you've seen him play a lot. You know, he's an all-out player on offense. You know, he does steal bases, he does other things. I think he puts himself more at risk, you know, the all-around offensive side of the game than he does necessarily at shortstop. You know, the things you can write in, you know, when you start the season, you know, you're hoping that you get certain expectations out of players. In him, you can almost write it in. 30 home runs, 100 RBIs is his standard, I think. And, you know, depending, he might be a little less, depending upon what happens, and he might really get hot like he did, you know, the month of September last year, and then his numbers kind of jump. But you can count on his offensive numbers and his ability to, you know, to be the guy in the middle of the order, or one of those guys. And you can also, you know, count on him to be there defensively, you know, and make all the right decisions. And he's the kind of guy you want the last out hit to. When you got the bases loaded and you're protecting a one-run lead, you know, you're sitting over there thinking, okay, hit the ball to Tulo, the game's over.